Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophie, a knitter based in Düsseldorf, and this is my channel Studio Sophie, and today is gonna be another knitting podcast episode. We're gonna talk about this thing I'm wearing. I've got two and a half more finished objects to show you. And actually I do only have 2 whips, and I wanted to talk to you about some plans, what I want to make, and wanted to ask for your opinion. So yeah, a typical knitting podcast format. And before we dive in, I just wanted to apologize that it's been a while. I've been going on quite a lot lately. So I think the next video is also going to take a bit of time because I am studying for an exam right now that's up, that will happen in mid-July. I'm a doctor and specializing in neurology, and this is going to be my exam that makes me a certified neurologist in Germany. So I've been working in the field for 5 years, and I've qualified myself to take the exam now. So it's a big step, and I'm very excited. But I do have to study, and I also work. So it's a lot of time that goes there right now that I don't have for knitting. So this is why it's taking a bit of time. And in August, my wedding's gonna happen at the beginning of August. So it's also the preparations and planning and everything is taking up some time. So yeah, a lot happening, and that's why I've been a bit absent here. So I'm sorry, but that's how life sometimes is. And I do reckon that in autumn, the content will be on a more regular basis again. So I hope you still stick with me and have some patience. But yeah, let's dive into today's episode. And I do have a finished object, and this is the one I'm wearing. This is the EmeryVest. Let me scoop over. I'm gonna do it, I think, this way. This is the EmeryVest by Joji Locatelli, and this is an all-over cabled vest, and the pattern comes as the vest option but also as a pullover option, so you can knit both depending on which you prefer or choose. The pattern has both options in it. So I opted for the vest option because I didn't have enough yarn for the pullover option, and this was the main reason why I chose to knit a cabled vest pattern. The yarn is Woolstok fiber, and it's the worsted weight yarn in the colorway Drift Sand. This is the leftover yarn, and it's quite a rustic spun yarn. So this is how it's looking, the core, and it's a beautiful yarn. And I wasn't quite sure about the color when I finished the vest, because I think it would have looked maybe a bit cooler in a very electric color, maybe electric blue or red or something. But I didn't know what else I could do out of this yarn. I think it works better in a textured pattern and with the cables and everything rather than plain stockinette, at least for my taste. So I do think this yarn worked for this pattern very well, but for my maybe personal style and wardrobe, maybe I could have gone for a more bolder color. I'm gonna try to incorporate more colors into my wardrobe going forward, and not only stay to those neutral comfort colors or like very safe colors. So yeah, this is about the yarn. So this is the thing, what is left of it. So yeah, it wouldn't have been enough to knit 2 whole sleeves out of it. So I like to wear it with a t-shirt. I can also wear it without any t-shirt underneath. It is quite rustic, but I'm not very sensitive to wool. So I would say I don't like very scratchy wool. obviously, but this would be fine for me, although it is a bit more rustic. So yeah, I can just come a bit closer so you can see a bit better how the pattern looks. So this is an all over cable project. I talked about it in my last episode. So I've got the central cable, then 2 smaller ones and those diamond shapes. They are filled out with some seed stitch, and the back is worked the same way, so it's the same pattern. And under the arm is also a seed stitch pattern. The finishing's done with 1x1 rib. It looks a bit messy because I had to unravel it, knit it, and I haven't reblocked it yet. So this is why it looks a bit messy. And here also the finishings are done with 1x1 rib. So the vest is worked top down. You start with the back panel, do some shoulder shaping, pick up stitches for the fronts, shape the front, connect in the round, and then just knit down in pattern. I do think it's a more of a mediocre to advanced cable pattern, because you do need to be able to count the different cables, and it's not like it's not written in one charts, but you have separate charts for the separate parts, and you need to kind of connect it and know which row you're working in right now, and it's a bit difficult to get into it. So at the beginning I was really struggling. So this is my second cable project, and I do think there are some more like a bit more with a more repetitive pattern that are maybe a bit more easier, especially because the cablings with the middle part, then the diamond shapes, then the smaller cables here, there's a lot going on and they're not all synced to the same row. And then you've got the slip stitch pattern as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on. But once I got into it, I could memorize it, or once I understood how the pattern is supposed to look and how it's worked, I could easily like knit it. It wasn't a big issue afterwards, but at the beginning it was quite a struggle to understand where to cable, what to do, and so on. So just keep it in mind when choosing this pattern. It's a bit more complex and you do need some brain work to put into it. But if you want something that's more a bit complicated, where you really need to focus on, this would be a great pattern to choose. The finishings, as I said, are done with a 1x1 rib, and then you do an Italian bind off. I did modify it a bit. So I think first of all, I shortened it. So on the pattern pictures, it is also quite cropped. So I do think I reached the right length, but I do think that I just counted the diamond shapes on the pattern photos, and I think there's one more than I have. And at first I also knitted it longer, but then I tried it on, and I'm also gonna pick some pictures here. And I do think it does look better this way with the fit and with the jeans, and I usually wear high-waisted jeans, than it looked before. So this is one modification I did. And the second one is that I did a folded color. So the pattern suggests just to knit it straight and then do also an Italian bind off, but I do prefer those a bit thicker folded over colors. So this is what I did as well here. And I am very cautious about the fact that with vest, when you do a ribbed edge, it can happen that they are flaring out, especially under the arm, and I don't like that look at all. So I did pick up the stitches according to pattern, and what I then did is that I decreased, I think, every 4th row or something like that. So I just winged it. So first I did it, I think, every 2nd row, and it was way too steep. And then I maybe did the 4th and then the 3rd or something. Yeah, I think I did 2 rounds of decreases for this whole part. And you can see it under the arm. You can see it here. So there's this decrease pattern here. In this way, it just like lies more flat to the body and is not flaring out as much. And I do think especially here, it already happens just the tiniest bit, but it's still all right, I think. But yeah, I really don't like this look under the arms. So this is what I modified as well. Otherwise, I don't think I did any other modifications. Regarding the size, oh yeah, this is a big one. So I knitted the fifth size. So this is, I think, XL. And I wanted a more of a looser fit. You might be wondering, how is this a loose fit? So I would say this is pretty much like 0 positive ease. So it's not negative ease, but I think it's like pretty much just lying flat to the body. Maybe it's 1 centimeter or something, but it's like, I wouldn't call this like an oversized or looser fitted garment. So yeah, I'm a bit confused how this happened, because I did do a gauge swatch and I met gauge, and I also took all the measurements and everything, and I opted to have, I think, 10 centimeters of positive ease, or even 15, or even more. I don't remember actually, because I started this project a year ago, but it was definitely intended to have positive ease because I wanted a more of a looser, cooler fit, and not this tight fit actually that she also has in the pattern photos. So I'm a bit confused if this just like, if my gauge changed during the project, or yeah, what happened here. So yeah, be mindful about gauge swatching, and maybe even go up a size when you're meeting gauge, so to be sure that it fits you. I think I'm gonna measure the gauge afterwards and put it in the description below, so you can check what my gauge was and which size I chose, and this way see how it's gonna, yeah, if it's gonna work for you or not. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So just like check out the information down below if you're interested in the sizing and yeah, what worked for me. Maybe I'm just really off gauge and this is why it's fitting like this, but as I said, I'm just gonna put it down below. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So this is the EmeryVest by Joji Locatelli. Really like the finished garment, although it's not exactly the look I was going for. So yeah, let's dive into the next finished object, and this is an accessory, and I've shown you a similar one in a podcast before, or the same pattern. So this is the scarf number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I've knitted one before, and I modified it regarding the yarn. So I chose a boucle yarn because I had bought the yarn for another project, didn't use it for that, and was a bit lost what to do with it. And then I thought, well, a nice scarf project would be a good idea. So I knitted the main color in the boucle yarn, and I chose the same contrast color as here. And the pattern comes in 3 different options. So you can do a bandana, a scarf, and a shawl. And I thought I chose the scarf version in my first project, but I think I accidentally continued the pattern on the wrong side and knitted the stitch increase rate and everything according to the shawl or bandana pattern. I think it's a shawl pattern that I chose the increase rate. So yeah, it turned out a bit like the fabric it's more longer. So I thought that would be the scarf version. And I thought, I really like how I can style it, how it fits, how I can bind it together. So I'm just gonna go with the same. So I knitted the scarf version with this one, and it turned out it's a different it's a different version from the last one. So this is the scarf number 5 scarf version. This is how it's looking. So for the main color, for the main part, I chose Cardif Cashmere. So I treated myself. It's Cardif Cashmere Classic and the colorway. Yeah, it's a blue colorway. I'm gonna put it down in the description below. I can't remember it right now. And the contrast color is a brown Cardif Cashmere I had leftovers from, and I did think those colors would match very well. I do think, like, I'm really into brown right now, so it's a nice combination, and I love blues. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. So you start. The pattern is worked that way, that you start in the middle and then you work increases and thus this way form this triangular shape. And I do think it's a very beautiful pattern and you get a nice edging. So there's a certain way to bind off, and it's all explained very nicely in the pattern. There's also a video. I do prefer I think, like, for me the problem is with this, you have quite a lot of fabric in the middle, but the ends are not so long. So I do prefer it when it's a bit more like kind of stretched out, so you can bind it more easily. So it is still fine, I think. I got used to it, but it's, for me, this is more like a big bandana look rather than a scarf look. I do think of scarves usually a bit more to them to be slimmer or a bit longer. So yeah, this is how I've been wearing this. But I think you can see that there's quite a lot of fabric happening here. So yeah, for me, if I would knit it again, I would choose the bandana or like the bandana shawl increase rate and knit it just like to the size I would like want it. But I do think the shaping is a bit more what I'm looking for in a scarf like this. But as I said, I do really like how it turned out. I love the fabric. It's so soft and so squishy and nice, and I've been wearing quite a lot. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows how fabulous Cardif Cashmere Classic is, so can't go wrong there. And it's a very nice accessory, I think, especially like for those like spring or autumn vibes, or even when there's like cooler summer days where you can just like put it on. I do bike a lot, so this is nice to just have something to protect your neck when it's a bit colder in the morning. So I am very happy about how this turned out and the colors and everything. So this was my little New York project. So in the end of April, I went to New York on a trip, and I wanted something to start there and to remind myself, or be knitting on something that reminds me of this trip. And so this is my little New York scarf. I just finished it just like two or 3 days after it. So it is like a nice memory of that trip. Just going to sip of coffee. Okay, now on to my next finished object, and I have shown these as well in the last podcast, and I think we can go quite quickly through them. Those are my Freestyle Ruffle socks. So I combined 3 different patterns. For the ruffles, I used the Petite knit ruffle sock pattern. I was going to show it. And then I was inspired by a Purl Soho ruffle sock that had like the ruffles, and then this 2, I think they have a 3x1 rib. I opted for a 2x2 rib. In hindsight, I should have also chosen 3x1. I think it would have looked a bit more elevated, but well, it's fine for me. For the heel, I did a heel flap and gasset, and maybe you can see it, it's got this nice pearled edge. So this is something I saw in a sock knitting pattern from Stone Knit. She does a lot of color work, but yeah, I just picked up the heel construction, and yeah, I just knitted it plainly down. So those are my two pairs, like my pair of cute little ruffle socks. Haven't worn them yet, so finished them just a few days ago. As I said, I didn't really have time to knit a lot lately, so it took me some time. And I fear they're a bit tight, so I knitted this on 2.5 millimeter needles, and I knitted this with Filcolana Arwetta. And it's the first time for me knitting with this yarn. I'm very interested to see how it's going to hold up. I do have to say, I usually knit with the sock wool from Lang Yarns, and it's a bit thicker than this one. So I'm a bit concerned that the sock's not going to hold up as well, but we'll see. But with this thinner yarn and the small needles, and I don't know, my gauge was very tight at some point. They seem a bit tight on the foot, and I accidentally picked up not enough stitches. So I think for the foot part, I only had like 60 stitches going, and this is not a lot. I should have like gone for 64 something at least. But I think because of the ruffles and then the decrease rate and everything, I don't know, I made a mistake there and I didn't calculate it properly and ended up with not enough stitches. I didn't want to pick up 10 stitches or do the ruffles again. So yeah, they are a bit on the tighter side, but I do also like my socks to be tight. So I think we'll just see if I do like to wear them or if I feel uncomfortable in them. I was planning on wearing them in shoes primarily because I do like this ruffle detail when you wear the shoes to look out. So for this like purpose to wear them, it is good that they are very tight, so they can like fit in every shoe and everything. So it's not like a throw-on home sock to chill, but more of a to-go sock. As are, for example, also my red ones. I've been wearing them a ton. In my black shoes, I also posted a picture of this style combination on Instagram, and I also wanted to post some pictures of some photos from the New York trip how I styled my knits there. Maybe you're interested. So yeah, I just need to do it, and I'm very bad at Instagram, so I'm very sorry for not uploading them till this point, but I will do it, and I hope you will enjoy it and see some of my knits in action. So yeah, those were the ruffle socks combination pattern, and that's what I do like about socks, that you can like mix and match from different patterns what you like, and yeah, work with different ideas and just be a bit creative in your knitting this way. So maybe this will get you inspired to also mix and match some sock patterns. Maybe you've done it before. If you have, let me know what kind of patterns you combined, and I would be very interested to hear. So yeah, next let's talk about my CerataCardigan by Joan Knit. It is like finished regarding the knitting, but I do need some buttons. So this is the reason why I'm not wearing this today. But I thought when I've got the buttons, I will also like style it and wear it for next video. So yeah, this is how it's looking, and I'm so happy about it. I'm just gonna show you some details. So yeah, this is how it's looking. This beautiful waffle texture knit with some nice details here also on the cuff, and also there's like this nice detail on the hem. Yeah, and the button band is a double knitted button band. Let me show you this. I think it looks very good. I'm very happy with myself how it turned out. It's not pulling anywhere. It's very thick, but it lays very nice and flat. So can show you here again how it's looking. I also think the curve went very well overall. So yeah. So this cardigan is from this Polish designer. And you start by knitting the back part in this waffle stitch pattern. You do the shoulder shaping, then you do pick up stitches for the shoulders. You can see it here. It's not my best pickup job, but I think it's okay. And then you knit the front part. You do the shaping for the V shaping. And you don't do any armhole shaping because you have this edge here that's all stockinette to, as a design detail, I would say, before the sleeve starts. So this is how you work it down. And then under the arms, you connect the front and back part. You also pick up some stitches, so you have some fabric for under the arm, and then you just knit it straight back and forth. Then at the bottom part, you do have this edge detail I just showed before you do the hem in 2x2 rib. And the bind off is an Italian bind off. Before you do it, you rearrange the stitches, and I think it's also a tubular Italian bind off, and I also did a tubular Italian bind off this time. Usually I just skip the tubular part and just do the bind off, but with the rearrangement and everything, I did it all according to pattern. After you finish the body, you pick up stitches for the sleeves, and she has a very specific guide to how to do the decreases, and I completely trusted her measurements. So the pattern is very, very well written, and there are a lot of emphasis on detailed sizing, how to choose the right size, and also at the last page there are options to how to modify it. So you have the right decrease rate, so the sleeve length, if you need to modify the sleeve length, or need to modify any other part of the cardigan. So I think this is very thought through and very nice. And I do think that the decrease looks very neat, and it's a nice design detail as well, how it's going down. And it was also easy to follow, and then you've got this nice detail with the purl stitches and this slip stitch kind of thing for the sleeve hem before you start then the 2x2 rib for the sleeve. I also did rearrange the stitches here and did a tubular bind off, but I don't understand why it's so tight. It's not as stretchy as I usually managed to do an Italian bind off, so I don't know what happened here. And on the other sleeve it's the same, so yeah, no idea why it is, but it's better here than on the other side. Maybe I just pulled the yarn too strong, I don't know. And I did finish all those parts quite some weeks ago, but I just couldn't get myself to pick up the stitches for the double knitted button band. I was dreading it, and that's the reason why it laid on the back burner for quite some time, and that's also the reason why I just finished it last week. But the instructions were very clear for the double knitted button band, how to pick up, and I do think, as I said, that it worked out very nicely. So the decrease rate worked out very good, and the instructions were easy to follow, and I'm very happy how this looks, and how the button band, I think it fits the cardigan very well. It's very thick and nice and gives it this nice cozy feel. I did modify the way she recommends doing the buttonholes, because in her pattern, you're supposed to cut the yarn for the second column where you do the where you shape the buttonhole. But with my Purl cardigan, I learned a method with Morica Knit, how you can do it without cutting the yarn. So if you're interested in that the pattern from the Morica Knit Purl cardigan does have all those details and explanations how to do that. And they look great, the buttonholes. They are also like reinforced and everything, so they are not stretching out or anything. They're very clean of how they look. And as I said, it's a nice method how you can just do it without cutting the yarn and having to weave in all the ends. So yeah, I just did everything according to the pattern, except when knitting the buttonholes, I just the placement and everything I also did according to pattern, but then I just opted for this different method. Yeah, so now I just need to find buttons that go with this, and I'm a bit unsure what kind of buttons I want to use. So I thought I'd just take the cardigan and go to a local store here and see what they've got and just try out some and look what I like the best. But yeah, I'm very happy how this looks. I can just throw it on and we'll see how it's fitting, just so you have an idea. So it's a lot of knits. So yeah, I'm very happy. I trusted the pattern completely in the designer, so I didn't do any modifications regarding the length of the sleeves or the body. And I think it looks very nice. So it's a good length also for the body. And the way it fits my upper body is also, I'm very happy how it's looking, and I'm excited to finish it and get to wear it. Yeah, regarding the yarn, so I talked about it a lot in my last podcast. It is very important to choose the right yarn for this cardigan, so you get this waffle, this dimensional waffle look of the of the pattern. So it's not too flat, and you really see have this dimension. So in her yarn choice, she commented, I commented on Ravelry and asked what yarns she used. She also went for a darker mohair and in a lighter base color. And I did the same. So I chose this yarn from Filcolana Peruvian. That's also the recommended yarn for this pattern. And I paired it with this Isager mohair. And yeah, the colors seem on the first look very different, but the core of the Isager is very similar to the Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool lilac fog color. And this darker halo gives the cardigan the dimension it needs. And I do think it's very interesting because I don't really like a mold effect in stockinette stitch. So you can see it on the button band that you do have this mold effect, but I think on the with the textured part, it looks very good and blends very seamlessly. And so I wouldn't combine those yarns for a stockinette pattern because I just don't like the look of this mold effect. But for textured knit, it really works very well. So would definitely recommend going for that combination. I'm a bit frustrated that I'm left with 1.5 bowls of each of these yarns. I talked about it before, but I just don't get it. Why am I always left with so much yarn? I don't know if the designers plan more with how to say it, with buffers, so you always have a bit more left over than you actually need. But I feel a bit annoyed by this because now I have this yarn left and I could have just bought 2 balls, 1 ball less of each. So Yeah, I don't know how to proceed with this knowledge that I'm usually left with, or often left with a whole not used ball of yarn. But sometimes I do need this, like just like a little bit from the last ball. So I'm a bit hesitant, yeah, how to go forward with this. Because as I said, I did it according to pattern completely. So I didn't change length, I didn't change, like I met gauge. No modifications there. And yeah, I don't know. Does this happen to you as well? Or is it a me problem? Let me know. I would be very interested to hear yeah, how this is working out for you. So those were all my finished objects. Now let's dive into my works in progress. And I actually don't have a lot to share in this department because I was just like finishing the other stuff. But I can show you a project I've shown here also before. And this is the IvyBlouse by Petite Knit. And I'm at this point where I need to decide if I like the length or if I should go further. And as it usually is with this kind of steps where you need to decide, or you cannot just continue knitting, you just put it on the side and think, yeah, I'm just gonna do it later, and then you don't do it later and it just lays around. So yeah, this is where we're at, but at least I put it on the cable or a holding cable so I can try it on. So this is how it's looking right now. The IvyBlouse from Petite Knit. I'm knitting this with 1 strand of mohair. So the pattern calls for 2 strands held together, but I bought the mohair for a different pattern and it was a single strand mohair pattern. I didn't go for that pattern and I didn't meet gauge, but I meet gauge for the IvyBlouse, although just using 1 strand. And I decided to just go with the pattern then. And it's the Tilia from Filcolana in the colorway Sakura. So this is the yarn. It's this beautiful pinkish yarn. And I'm really loving how this is turning out. So this is like this beautiful flowery fluff blouse. I wanted it to be more tight fitted, and I think it's a bit more of a looser fit. I think I'm measuring myself sometimes wrong when I do it myself. So I always thought I've got a bust circumference of 96 or 98. But then when I went to the yarn store and told the owner that I needed yarn for the size because of my bust measurements, and she was like, that can't be right. So she measured me and turns out I've got a bust circumference of, I don't know, 92 or something. So I think if I want a more tighter fitted garment, I should probably go for a smaller size in the future. Yeah, I think I just need to correct my sizing and measure myself, or let myself be measured by somebody else and not trying to do it myself. Because I think when you are putting your arms up, your torso, like because of the ribs and everything, it just goes a bit more out than it would be when you're relaxed. Maybe this plays into it and just gives like a few centimeters. But yeah, it's a bit more looser than I would like it to be. But I do like how the fabric's turning out, especially also with the single strand mohair. It is see-through, so I would need to wear some kind of bralette or something underneath, or white top. But this is the look I was also going for. I wanted like a very fresh looking, easy throw on long sleeve, not too warm, but something light, summery, springy actually. But yeah, we are not knitting ahead of season. So maybe I'm gonna like get a lot of wear out of it next spring. But I think I'm gonna wear it in late summer or something when I'm gonna finish it. But yeah, I've been stuck at the point where I need to decide the length, and I didn't want to cut the yarn because it is a bit more visible when you weave in the ends with this kind of fabric rather than with a thicker one. So the pattern is a top-down construction. It's kind of like this little saddle detail here. So you pick up stitches for the color, do this folded color thing. It was very fiddly, I have to say, with the mohair. Then you do the increase part for the sleeve and shoulder. I think it's a beautiful design. And yeah, kind of go into a raglan there. And yeah, then you put the stitches for the sleeves on hold and just knit the body down. And it's a regular cast off with a rolled edge, and the same goes for the sleeve. So it's very like nice and simple pattern. And I just need to focus on it again and get going. But yeah, this is the progress I made. I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles, and I'm knitting the third size. So yeah, this is the IvyBlouse by Petite. Now to my second whip, and it's a very, very new whip. I just casted it on last night, so I don't really have to show you a lot. Just like this little tiny rim part. So I'm knitting the CiroSweater by Knit, one of my favorite designers, as you probably have noticed. And I just love her designs, and I do love her patterns. And what intrigues me with her the most is that you can learn so many new techniques in her patterns. And the same goes for this one, for example. So you do start with a provisional cast on for the back part, and then you knit the back panel up, do the shoulder shaping, and then knit to the front. So I think it's a very interesting technique, because usually the most patterns with this kind of construction start with the back panel, you knit it down, then pick up stitches and so on. So yeah, I think because you can sometimes do better shaping with decreases rather than increases, and yeah, picking up stitches. It can be, yeah, I think it's very refreshing. And she's got this very interesting technique with the increases for the arm. As I said, it's just like this tiny, tiny bit. But it's a technique I've never done before, where you kind of like decrease 2 stitches at once by rearranging them, knitting them together. So it was like something completely new, but she always has videos in her patterns for different techniques. And with those, I think it's quite easy to learn something new, and to see how you can do different ways of shaping, and to emphasize those structural details by making them visually very like appealing, pleasing. So yeah, as I said, just started the back panel, so nothing to show for a lot, but I'm just going to show you how the yarns are working up. So this is a combination of a strand of mohair and a strand of fingering weight yarn. Both are from Knitting for Olive, and both are in the colorway Dusty Artichoke. Those are the colorways, so those are the yarns from Knitting for Olive. I haven't knitted with Knitting for Olive for quite a long time, and I really wanted to use that yarn again, because it is a great yarn, and I've had great experience with knits holding up for a long time and not pilling, and just looking very, very good. So this is why I chose this yarn, and it was kind of a little birthday present for myself. So I bought this in April, and wanted to finish first the CerataCardigan and some other projects before casting on a new one. So that's why it had to wait some time to be cast on. But I'm very happy I started it. I just wanted a simple stockinette project to have on the go as well. And something on slightly bigger needles than the mohair project. So this one's worked up on 4mm needles. For me, it's one of the most comfortable needle sizes, so 4.5. But I do also like to knit on 3.5mm needles. So yeah, very happy how this is like the start of it. And I do really like how the yarn looks, and very eager to continue. So yeah, those were actually my 2 current whips, and I did some gauge. So now let's go on to plans. So I do want to cast on something for summer, obviously. And I have 2 patterns that I'm a bit uncertain which one I should choose for mochi knits. So I have this beautiful reused cashmere wool. I unraveled a sweater from Stefanel, and it's 100% cashmere, and yeah, reused the yarn. I don't think I have enough yarn to do a whole sweater on long sleeve out of it, because it was already in more of a tighter fitted sweater. And yeah, I think to be safe, because I also lost some of the yarn during the unraveling process and everything, I wanted to go for a vest or a t-shirt kind of garment. And I have been eyeing for a long time the Taipei vest by Mochi Knits. You can see it here. It's a cabled vest pattern that's knitted top down, I think. It's got some beautiful details, and I also did a gauge swatch to see if the yarn's going to work with it, and I did meet gauge. So the issue for me was Mochi Knits. I had knitted a pattern before, and I had a really hard time to meet gauge. It was like all over the place, and my gauge was way too big for hers, although I was already using very small needles. And then I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna knit a whole garment on 2.5mm needles. This is like, I'm not gonna do that. So with this one, I already went down half a needle size. So the pattern recommends a 4mm needle, and I did the gauge swatch on a 3.5. At least I'm pretty sure I did it on a 3.5, because I forgot to write it down because I didn't buy the pattern. So I just checked how the fabric looked and guessed, or like counted how many, like what the pattern repeat is going to be, and made the gauge swatch, and I met gauge with this. And I do think it looks very nice. I wouldn't like want to go any needle size up or down to have a different fabric. So I really, as I said, do like how this is looking. And I think it will work great for this pattern. But she released a new pattern, and it's the Amy Top. Just also gonna put it here, the Amy Top by Mochi Knits. And it's this V-shaped vest kind of look, so it doesn't have sleeves, and it's got this nice like polo color, and I think it looks very cool. I really can imagine wearing this to like this kind of jeans, or also I've got some like smart pants that I do like to wear, so it could be a very nice look also for like the city, my daily life. I think it will fit very nice in my wardrobe, and I don't have anything like that yet. And I do have now this vest. I do have another vest. I'm not wearing that much, but because it's very thick, but still. I do have a cabled pullover in a light color, so it would be a bit more of a, like, it wouldn't stand out as much as the Amy Top. So I did another gauge swatch for a stockinette project. And I think the fabric also looks very nice, and it's working out. So this is also knitted on 3.5mm needles, but I haven't measured yet to see if I meet gauge for this pattern. I don't think I would like to go up a needle size to a 4mm needle. That's what the pattern recommends, because I would think I don't like the fabric then, because it would be too loose. So yeah, I just need to count this and see if it would work for the Amy Top. And if not, then I think I'm gonna go with the Taipei vest, because I do think the yarn is gonna work very good for this, and I don't have any other idea for this yarn. But I hope that I'm gonna be able to do the Amy Top. So yeah, let me know what you think and what pattern I should go for. And yeah, I'm gonna let you know in my next podcast, or maybe also over Instagram, what I'm gonna go for. Then I wanted, like, I don't have like any new acquisitions. I didn't buy any yarn lately, but I do have a yarn that I bought last year in summer and I didn't get to work up, and I wanted to do something with it now. So I thought I'd show you as a delayed acquisition. So this is linen yarn. It's from a German brand. It's 55% viscose and 15% linen. So it's very like soft, it's very drapey. It's beautiful, like dark gray color. I think it really matches my skin tone. And I'm not like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to knit up. It's 50 grams, like 125 meters for 50 grams. I think it's comparable with the Tin Line from Sanders Garn. And I was thinking of doing maybe another Sabai top, but I think that's very boring. And I don't want to do the same top again. I'm not very into lace work for garments. Not because I don't like to knit up lace, but I just don't like to, like, I don't wear it. I do like the look of it, and I do think it's very beautiful, but I don't like the look for me necessary. So I'm a bit struggling to find a good pattern for this yarn. And I've watched a lot of videos as well, and trying to get inspiration, but I haven't found like a good pattern for this kind of yarn substance, like with the viscose and linen. So if you have any suggestions for like more of a more structured look, maybe also a t-shirt could be cool. Or I do really like those high neck tops. I was thinking about maybe going for the Bea top from Petite Knit. That could be an option. But let me know if you've got any like interesting summer patterns in your queue list, or any like inspiration. I would very much appreciate to know what you are planning on knitting up, and if it's maybe something also that it can be knitted up with this kind of yarn blend and yeah, this kind of yarn weight. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you liked the video and you got some inspiration. And as I said, I'm very sorry for making you wait a bit longer for this one. And as I said, I hope you are patient with me also for the next one. And I'm gonna get into a nice groove again, I think, after finishing my exams and after the wedding and everything. So stay tuned. But yeah, I'm very happy about like that I finished some projects. I've been on my needles for quite some time, and yeah, I'm very inspired to cast on new things now, because I do have now some space to do it. So yeah, let me know what you're working on. If you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment below. I'm very always looking forward to reading those. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.